are listening to SciStarter Live, which is a webinar that we do, we being myself and Roland, we do on behalf of SciStarter about different topics, whether that be a specific project and we talk to the project leader, or we do things like this, where it's like a specific topic that we are pushing out to the public, trying to get more people involved. So this time around, we're talking about how to get started this April with 1 million acts of science. So April, as many of you hopefully know by now, is Citizen Science Month. And if you didn't know that, welcome to the club. This year in particular, we're doing a big push to aim for over a million acts of science, which just means a collective 1 million or more data points sent into citizen science projects. So in addition to data just submitted via a project, say you're on Zooniverse and do a project, all those categorizations or whatever you're doing on Zooniverse, all those count as acts, individual acts, which is awesome. And then in addition to that, if you attend events, if you host events, all those things are also acts of science because you are being a part of the process of getting people involved and getting yourself involved. And so we want to make sure that you are taken care of there too. Also, if you sign up for a SciStarter account during April, if you haven't already, that counts as an act of science. So weird tip of if you don't have an account yet, just get one on April 1st. I'll send y'all an email to remind you. So we'll see you join us then, and it will count as an act of science. All right, I'm going to keep moving. So I already introduced myself, but my name is Emma, and I'm a manager of public outreach and programs at SciStarter. Roland is here as well. He's the quality assurance coordinator and does a lot of the programming too on the website. And so we're always here, pretty much always. And if you're in the chat with us, or if you're in Zoom with us, excuse me, you can use both the chat and the Q&A. A lot of you are using the Q&A because I asked you to. Thank you for doing so. And I love seeing all the chats, including the call outs to each other to say hello. So awesome. If you have just ideas and thoughts and whatever, all those things can go in the chat. If you have distinct questions you want me to cover, you can add that to the Q&A too. I'll be watching both. In fact, that might make it easier for me to answer the question. So if you feel like it might be missed, add it to the Q&A instead. I was going to say, please introduce yourself in the chat. Some of you already did that. So if you haven't already, feel free to do so. I think there's more people in here than have used the chat yet, but already lively. So thank you. Excellent. Okay, so you are likely up to speed on this, but just so we're all on the same level of understanding, what we define as citizen science is a collaboration between scientists and those of us who are curious, concerned, and motivated to make a difference. It's how people can make an impact on issues they care about and help science. So that includes a lot of things, and the first thing to get started to do all those things is join SciStarter. So, and that's who we represent. It's a big database and a hub for citizen science, and it includes a lot of projects. It's a database of projects for a reason, a database of events as well. And we also have educational materials for you as well, again. So lots of things going on there. That's why we really promote it as like, this is your one-stop shop for a lot of things. And then it leads you to other places and gets you connected to other things too. So the reason we're talking today is 1 million acts of science, April, Citizen Science Month. We are pushing for a pretty significant event and something that's meant to be a way to just bring everyone together and connect over the month of April. It's an excuse to party it up citizen science style in whatever way that might be for you. So if you are already planning things, this will be really helpful, hopefully. If you are not planning things and you're like, oh gosh, I need to plan, this will hopefully be helpful. If you're just a participant, I still hope it'll be helpful because I have some really fun news for you and some how-tos a little bit. And then I'm happy to answer any questions. So keep your brain thinking through what your plans are so that you can contextualize it with this and also ask the questions you need to ask. Now, before we move any further, I do want to know what type of people I'm talking to, just so I can arrange my thoughts and examples in that order. So are you a library staff or anyone working in a library? Are you an event facilitator for anything? You could be both. Hopefully you can answer the same, or you can mark multiple as your answer. Are you a project leader, citizen scientist, or participant, just individual? Are you an educator? Are you a troop leader? Are you a member of a group? So that would be like hobbyist groups, like amateur astronomers. Maybe you're in a book club, literally anything. Sci-fi book club, I feel like would count. That would be my answer. That would be one of my answers. So any of those things matter. And I want to know who might apply to all of these, or what these might apply, who these might apply to. And I am seeing some hellos. Thank you. Awesome. Planetarium. Oh, I love planetarium so much. Okay. Excellent. Okay, we're at 85%. I feel like we could get to 100%. I'm just waiting on a couple more people. Maybe, maybe not. I'll give you 5 seconds just because I'm feeling nice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, fast 5 seconds. All right, so this is a really good split. I love this. Okay, cool. Event facilitators is 41%, library staff 29%, citizen scientists and participants 41%. Awesome. Educators 41%. Okay, this is excellent. Yeah, definitely. We can find this later, Roland, but also definitely take a screenshot so we can review it later. Awesome. Okay, thank you everyone for participating. So secondarily, a bunch of you already responded to this, so it's okay if you already said something, you don't need to repeat yourself. But what actually brings you here? And I see some people already adding their thoughts into the chat already, so that's all good. Thoughts in the chat. If you already have distinct questions, again, you can put it in the Q&A instead, just in case I miss it. But I did see a lot of different things. So I see like looking for hands-on activities during April, looking for, or just stumbled across this and want to know more, Eclipse related stuff, all that is really helpful to know. So I'll keep an eye on the chat if any of you add some more comments about why you're here. And in the meantime, I'll just keep going. So I've prefaced with a lot of general information, and by definition, here's what we're going for in April. So 1 million acts of science is, and Citizen Science Month combined, is a global month-long campaign to inspire people to discover and join participatory science projects and collectively generate over 1 million data points to help accelerate research this April. So a part of that is you'll hear later on how some of our, oh gosh, what am I trying to say? How 1 million acts towards one project, for example, could mean the world to a project. And so being able to spread that across thousands of projects and just get a lot of people involved is a really big deal to kind of just spread the love of these projects. So I'm excited to see what we can find out based on that action. And to clarify exactly what we mean by an act of science, we are pretty loose in the definition. So if you asked about a particular thing, wanted to check, like, does this count? Probably, but also you can ask. I'm happy to ask. I'm happy to answer. So attending or hosting events, if you join a project and play games like accelerated medical research, like stall catchers, those are acts as you keep analyzing images, analyzing those online images like on Zooniverse. That's all making discoveries. Those are all acts of science. Sharing pictures of nature, say iNaturalist, or if any of you are doing bio blitzes or the City Nature Challenge. Using your smartphone to monitor your environment includes things like Globe Observer, so like using the apps that'll guide you through the process of citizen science. Same thing with IC Change is another one. Or participate in any of the other projects that we have on SciStarter. They all count as acts of science. If you find one that you do through Zooniverse, for example, and it's not on SciStarter, that's something that still should count, and you should let us know what you did. We just need to know what project it is, and then we can account for it. So there's a lot of options here: attending an event, doing the science, signing up for a SciStarter account during April. If you're event facilitators, those signups will all count. We'll be able to see that like when they started happening. So I've split this up, today's activity, today's event, in a couple of different spots. So I have information for participants, which is helpful for everyone to know. And then I also have information for project leaders and event facilitators, which I feel like is helpful for everyone to know anyway, just so they know what else is happening. And then I have some general resources that everyone could take part of, to make use of, and then some updates on like what the website's going to turn into, and some of my favorite resources, and how you can win awards and prizes at the end of the month. So all those things to be said. First off is participants. So if you're a participant in wherever you are, raise your hand physically, just for fun, and see if anyone stares at you. Now, for participants, I wanted to keep it nice and simple in terms of what we expect of people who are part of this. And this is basically it, the 3 steps. Anytime between the 1st and the 30th of April, all we ask is that you're participating in projects, right? Or you're going to an event. And we have a giant calendar for you, and we have a lot of resources in the process of being developed to then send out throughout the month of April. The second part is the most important part: is if you are participating, you need to report those acts to us. So the reason we're saying report your acts is we're keeping count. We're doing a score, or we're keeping score on the Citizen Science Month webpage. And so throughout the month, you'll see a test tube, which I'll show you later, rising in size all the way up to 1 million. And so we want to show off how awesome y'all are. And to do that, we just got to make sure we're reporting the acts. Another way to do that is actually posting on social media. So if you use the hashtag 1 million acts of science, or you add us at SciStarter on your social medias, those off of Instagram and maybe another one will actually be populated onto the Citizen Science Month page, which will be really cool. So if you want to show off your awesome skills in citizen science and also be featured on the webpage, that's an excellent way to do it. If you don't want to be featured on the webpage, that's just be aware that that's where we're grabbing them from, is the hashtag 1 million acts of science. So there are ways around that. You can get creative with what you want to say, but we would love to hear about it. You can always contact us about anything. And then lastly, just looking at 1millionactsofscience.org or citizensciencemonth.org, same website, you'll be able to track your progress through your account, and you can track the progress of the actual 1 million acts, which will be fun. So 1 and 2 are like the requirements, and then 3 is keeping score throughout the rest of the month to see how it's going. And you can participate throughout the entire month, by the way. You don't need to stop suddenly halfway through, right? So this is a really intense calendar. We will have something for you every single day because we want you to be occupied and interested and get to see new things that you haven't paid attention to yet on SciStarter. So this is in its near final spot. So it'll pretty much look like this. There's only a couple things that might change and be added onto here. But essentially, some of the formatting got messed up, I see. So essentially, we want to prepare you to do things on a daily basis. And so if you are ever stumped for, I want to participate, but I don't know what, we'll have options for you. And we're actually building project lists for you to go through as, oh, yeah, those look good. Or my favorite in particular for anyone who's new is 30-minute citizen science. All those projects will be ones that you can do basically within 30 minutes. And you can do them anytime, but it takes less than 30 minutes to like really get started, right? So there's a lot on here. If you notice anything that might be missing, I don't know what that might mean for you, but if you, for some reason, and don't tell me it's your birthday, I won't put everyone's birthday on here. That would be odd. But if it's something you're like, oh, wait, they're missing out on something, feel free to reach out to us and or send me a message in the chat too. There's a lot on here, but the more the merrier, and we want to make sure that we include the topics that matter to you. So a lot to be said here. I'll point out a couple of them just for fun. If any of you care about light pollution related things, which I hope so, light pollution matters. We need to talk about that more. There's actually an entire week celebrating dark skies. And so a part of that means let's measure light pollution as a part of that and do some other projects. We'll be supplementing satellite data on Find a Rainbow Day with Globe Observer, for example. We have an education page specifically for anyone who's an educator, split up into the area, or split up into grade level for someone to use during the Environmental Education Week. We also have projects that are related to fungi, mushrooms. We have a dolphin project. We've got it all. And we want to make sure that you can get involved in everything, but hopefully not feel too overwhelmed. So day by day, take it day by day. But there's a lot for you to do, so you'll never be bored. All right. Participants, if you have questions about any of this so far, feel free to send a note in the chat. If you're looking for a specific project, for example, too, Roland might be scrolling the chat too and can answer questions as they come up. Project leaders and event facilitators. Yours is a little bit more filled out in information, so hopefully we can keep it simple. If there are questions, feel free to write them in the chat, etc. All right, so if you are both a project leader and an events facilitator, or you're one or the other, it's essentially the same rules for both of you. In order for us to make sure that we're accounting for your activities between the months, between the 1st and the 30th of the month, you're posting on social media using 1 million acts of science, the hashtag. You can add us and we'll amplify it. We can share your posts. There are SciStarter stickers. I'm going to show those to all of you too, so you don't need to worry about that yet and how to get to it. And then everything that you do that relates to citizen science, reporting it back to us is the #1 thing, so that we can make sure that we get up to that 1 million. What if we did 2 million, but only 500,000 acts were reported? That would be so sad. So make sure we are actually reporting it back. So these are the 2 big things to worry about. If you are, or this is just during the month, so keep in mind before then, right now, most of you probably already done this, but just make sure that you're signed up with us for Citizen Science Month so we can keep you updated on these things. So a lot of you received a message from me last week saying, hey, you signed up, come and join me. So I bet most of you are already on that list and have signed up. But if you know anyone who hasn't, feel free to make sure that happens. So as project scientists, you need to make sure the project that you are running is actually on SciStarter.org. You can go to, and Roland will drop this in the chat for you, but the SciStarter.org/add to add either a project or an event. Both of them will pop up when you go to that link. And then there's more ways that we want to promote your projects too. So if you are already on SciStarter, you can become an affiliate if you're not already. So you can let us know if you want to become an affiliate, which essentially just means we have a data sharing agreement set up so that these acts of science are actually automatically uploaded. Which is really nice and easy for you. If you're funded by any large federal agency, you can let us know because we're actually working with federal agencies on special media days. And so if you are funded by the NSF, for example, we'd love to know about it because we can kind of point your project towards that social media campaign too, so we can get some extra promotion for you, and NASA as well. If you are a project that involves hands-on activities, I misspelled that, oops, that is awesome, and I would love to learn about it, learn more. So feel free to drop a link in the chat if that does apply to you, if it's very hands-on, simply because there's a lot of requests for that, it's very education oriented, and also because the SciStarter team is actually going out to different places throughout the month of April. And so if we're able to do things that are very active on site with people, it's a little more exciting than just going on a computer and showing them. But the majority of things that will be done during Sci Month are often just independently on computers and whatnot. So we'll do what we can, but if that does apply to you, we'd love to know about it. So in the last meeting I had about this, or specific to Citizen Science Month, we had a time in which we shared some other options for project leaders in order to connect. So if you still have time and want to do these things, these are my advice points for what might be helpful to get your community back and engaged and re-inspired, is doing a goal. So assigning a goal to your project, for example, hey, we're doing hashtag 1 million acts of science and we need everyone involved. We're aiming for 50,000 observations over the month in a given activity, so in a given project. So that would be one way to do it. You can also be a subject matter expert and just offer your support to other places as a way to promote your activity, promote your project, and also be a resource for that location. So that could be a library, that could be a museum that might need your help, a hobbyist group that might exist. If you know anything about astronomy, there's amateur astronomy groups everywhere. So those are always very helpful. You can also encourage your volunteers to host their own events and just share it with them. So, hey, if you host an event, send it our way by adding us on social media and using this hashtag, and we'll make sure to promote it further and amplify it. So that's always good. Now, the last one there, and Roland did drop the link in the chat for that, the recipe card template. This is an example of a resource that we developed this year, which has been super helpful as far as we can tell. It's been really easy to use and adjust to different projects. It essentially goes through on a 2-slide piece of what is the project, what's the preparation, and then here's what an event might look like: the beginning of the event, the middle of the event, the end of the event. And so in order for us to keep this as a scalable material resource, we would love it if any of you are wanting to make a recipe card for your project, and we will absolutely put it on SciStarter or citizensciencemonth.org if that is of interest. So if that is on your mind and you've been waiting for an excuse to develop a lesson plan of sorts for your project, this is an excellent way to do that. That's already kind of templated out for you. Okay, backing up a little bit, taking a deep breath. Event leaders. We also want to make sure we're promoting you enough. And so if you are adding your project to SciStarter, that's the biggest step. So make sure that your events are added to SciStarter.org and that you're signed up with us as a leader of a project, or a leader of an event. So on the sign up form, there's one for organizations or classes, any of those things that relate to a library. That's where you would sign up. What will promotion look like? So on our website, we are preparing to actually expand on our website and release or launch the April version. It's launching early so that people can be prepared for it and to have some more direct information. But essentially, all the events will be listed on SciStar.org by default, but we'll have an event finder on one of our main pages for SitSci Month, as well as a spotlight for any events happening on a given day. So even if it doesn't relate to everyone, it's like only at one library in Texas or whatever. Sure, not everyone can be a part of it, but it's good to just highlight all those events and show off just how awesome all of you are. And so if you want to be promoted, that means that you're putting it on SciStarter.org and making sure that's a clear event description. We'll also help with social media. So throughout the month, if we notice things that are a little bit more accessible across the public, we will promote those as well. We can amplify your project. So if you add us, again, same thing, add us at SciStarter on any of social medias, we can amplify that for you and make sure that you get more exposure online. If you have specific requests, so sometimes we've gotten a couple of project leaders and event hosts to reach out to us to ask specific questions or even to say things about, I need support on this A, B, or C thing. If you email us, we can reach out to you and see how we can support you, either through more promotion, scheduled on a certain day, for example, or whatever might be needed. So feel free to reach out. Okay, we're like halfway through and I've done a lot of talking, so I'm gonna let you just look at this lovely test tube for a moment here. Yeah. Our redesign of our website is going to be very cool. This test tube is going to just keep rising. And then the end, I won't give it away, but it's very exciting in a very popping fashion. So it'll be really fun to see this rise up. So if you're excited for April, as I am, get ready for some really fun graphics on that page and the SciStarter robot hanging out with you and not just in the Zoom room as Roland's face. All right. So some of this will change. So I'm not showing you the whole thing, but our website will be changing in the next couple weeks. So be very exciting. All right. Cool. All right. Resources. We have so many resources that it's often difficult for people to just kind of find their way there. So Roland just dropped a link in the chat. It's scistarter.org/go/CSM SciMonth, CSM-resources. This is a direct link to a Google Drive that's open and available for you all. You can't edit on it or anything, but it's free downloads essentially. And so we have a lot of resources and sometimes they can be hard to decipher. So I figured I would give you kind of a map essentially of what things you can look for. And I'll even show you the drive if that's helpful, or if any of you are thinking, oh, I don't know how to find A, B, or C, you can write it in the chat and we can find it together. So that drive link, it has these folders. So we got Eclipse resources, which is a new one. By the way, I added that 2 weeks ago. Event planner and facilitator resources, logos, promo materials, excuse me, social media assets, and the press release. So you've got a bunch of different sections. Sometimes they overlap. So some of this is like, well, what do you mean? I don't know if this actually applies to this or that. I would just look around, kind of explore and see what happens. Let me show you actually. Let me just go over there. So this is what that looks like. Let's see if you're actually looking at the same screen as me. Yes. Okay. So I'm on the drive right now. If I were going to promotional materials, thinking, okay, yeah, I want to be able to pass things out. Those have things like bookmarks that are specific to projects. So Great Sunflower Project, stall catchers. These are all just nice little bookmarks for you to print out. In addition to that, we also have posters and flyers based on previous SitSci months. So you'll notice these look pretty similar. I will say though, the projects changed from last year on here. There's been one addition. We added Project Sidewalk here. So if that is of interest to you, there are new ones. We also have a new postcard, essentially, that is a 1 million acts of science specific. I'm like using so many of these. I love this postcard. It's so simple. On the back, it says, what is an act of science? And here's how to get started. So it's really simple. You can just have it out at a library, at a museum, whatever, throughout the month of April. I think that would be really useful for you and your organization. And as a participant, go ahead and scan the QR code, see where you go. It goes to citizensciencemonth.org, so easy peasy. Okay, can we print the bookmarks on cardstock paper at home? You definitely can. Afsha, so the only warning I will give you is that I am printer deficient. I always feel like I make errors. So I feel like libraries understand this a little bit better. But do you see how in the corners there's those lines? They're meant to be there for whatever reason. I forget why, but it's something about the printing quality or the way it's set up. I've made the error of making those still visible in my final product. And so just be aware that you need to be careful about how that looks like. Yeah, they're cut marks, thank you. And so depending on the system you use, like these are kind of designed for libraries on the assumptions that we had about what their resources are. For someone like me going to like, I don't know, Vistaprint and expanding it, it might look different. So just be aware when you're setting it up to print that it looks right. But yeah, on cardstock, paper at home would be totally fine. Just be aware of the amount of ink you're going to be using. Thank you, Marianne. Yeah, cut marks. I always forget what they're like referring to. There's a question in the Q&A that I just want to read out. Our organization tends to stick to language of community science just so that our visitors who are not citizens feel welcome. Oh, absolutely. Welcome to participate. Are there any resources that don't use specific language of citizen science? And is it okay to? Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up. So is it okay for us to make our own materials? I am a big fan of Canva. And pretty much everything that we have here, with the exception of maybe some of these bookmarks and flyers, honestly, they're really easily editable in Canva. So if you need to make adjustments of like a word like community science instead of citizen science, you can do it there. You are more than welcome to figure out your own method, of course, but yes, that's totally fine. In fact, I did want to show, and I have this later in the promotion or in the picture, but in case this is of interest to anyone, because citizen science is one of those things where sometimes people just don't understand what citizen science is. I made a couple of posts essentially for Instagram that go through what it is citizen science, public participation in scientific research that needs your help. So I use these synonyms to just kind of open the conversation of there's a lot of words for it. And so if any of you want to continue using citizen science, but you want to make sure that you're inclusive of the other titles or want someone to kind of find that familiarity, here's a resource for you. I do stick to citizen science through the rest of them though. So just be aware that it's limited in the amount of connection to other terms that it is. So when it goes through what it really means, who can be a citizen scientist, and then I think, how do you get started? So this is not specific to CitSci Month, but if they go to SciStarter.org, they'll find what they need to. So you're welcome to use these. And then on here, it's just a bunch of actions of what citizen science is. So measuring light pollution, this is citizen science. So if any of you have difficulty with definition related things to the public, those are our go-to resources there. And again, that was in social media, ready to post images. And then this one says, what is citizen science? There's also a field guide book that we have images for if you want to use those in social media. You're welcome to do so. And then things specific to citizen science kits. So promoting, hey, go to your library, check one out. All those. Okay, I'm going to back up a bit to there. Okay. The next thing I was going to show you, so I went to social media, promotional materials, I think is where we were before. Yep. And then we have a ton of logos for you to use if you need to use them. So SciStarter logos, we also have the 1 million acts of science logos. So I'm actually just going to go to JPEG and we have a lot of options. So you saw one at the very start of this event and then somewhere like a couple slides in there's a different one. We have a lot of options. So if you ever need to adjust your own or want to make your own flyer, you can use our logos to just kind of copy into them as well. Let me check on time really fast, just in case. 34, cool. Okay. Lastly, I think for now, and then if there's any questions, event planner is different from promotional resources simply because it's like handouts that would be within an activity. So if you wanted to print out a bingo card, which is one of my favorite things, I just updated it to be 1 million X related, and the editable version, so you can actually make your own. You can actually download this one as a Word document and change things in there. So pretty easy. And then there's also certificates. So if any of you are doing an event and you plan to report all your acts, you can get this sent to you. I think we'll be sending these digital copies out to you. But in preparation for events, if you want to hand these out after an event, you can print out a bunch, write out all the names of the people who show up to your event and send them home with those, which is super nice. So it'll be a nice memory of what they were a part of. And it's super simple, so you can even add some information to it if you'd like. And then we also have a programming planning tool. So if you're starting over or you're starting from scratch, there are options. We've done it so many times before that we want to make sure it's very easy for you to start a program. And so if you need assistance, just getting that head start, that's for you. And we've got some lovely PowerPoints from previous talks, one for facilitators in general, and then one for educators, which actually this is from a SciStarter Live webinar, just like this one, a couple back in January. And then we also have book lists. So there's a lot happening here, and including the event recipe card. So if you want a specific project, and here's how many we have now. But again, it's meant to be scalable. So if any of you want to make your own, you can. All right, last one on here was Eclipse resources. I'm just going to scan through. We have 4 Eclipse projects that are easy to join right before the Eclipse, essentially. It's Eclipse Soundscapes, Eclipse Safari, and Globe Observer, and then also Sun Sketcher. All of those are relatively easy to step in on the day of the eclipse. So if you are near the eclipse, if you host posters wherever you work or anything like that, you can print these out. They also have QR codes if you just want to have one on a bulletin board, for example. You can essentially just get people to see it before the eclipse. We're still in March, we've got some time, so feel free to pull those as well. And if any of you are looking for a pinhole activity, there is one that's SciStarter oriented if you still haven't figured that part out, if you need an activity. I spent a lot of time on this. You'll cut a hole in the middle and it'll get rid of the bird. So there'll be a hole right there. It's very cute. Anyway, all right, so going back to this. So there's also a press release. You're welcome to use the press release for anything that you need to use it for. Can I get this, please? Yes, so that link, Afsha, it's the SciStarter. I'm just pulling it from Roland's previous message. If you go to that link I just dropped in the chat, try opening that and see if you can see the Eclipse. It says Eclipse resources on there. And then if you can't find it, I'll show you at the end too. All right, I just wanted to add some notes about what my favorite ones were. So bingo, I already mentioned. I really dig these flyers, and there we also have stickers. So these stickers are new, and I actually still need to add them to that folder, but we have quite a few stickers already in there that you can use. And then we're adding some more so that people can essentially take the sticker, which will be, for my purposes, I'm printing out 3x3s stickers. And so you'll have whoever participates in an event, you can write out what their act is. So just have some Sharpies on hand, pass out some stickers. It's all so much fun. And then they know where to go to submit their acts of science. So easy peasy. So it's a big sticker. I'm very excited about that. Okay, I already mentioned these ones, so I won't go too far into it. I just wanted to say that these are in existence, and you can help educate your general audience if they don't know what this is to make it a little bit easier. Okay, now for everyone, so participants included in this, we have a social media kit that you can use as an individual and as a project leader and event facilitator or whoever on earth you are. We wanted to make it as easy as possible. So on the media kit, I'll actually click it so we can see what it looks like. It goes through all the different types of social media. So who is it for? And it's, again, basically for everyone. And then as you move through, you'll notice that it goes into sample emails. So if you want to reach out to your community members, it has key links, which I actually have in the slide deck as well. And then social media is a big part, right? So we've got sample tweets, we've got sample posts for Facebook, we've got Instagram, and then this is the most fun part ever. We made stickers. I don't know if any of you have gone through that process, but making stickers on Giphy is quite fun. I didn't get to do it, but they turned out really well. And I shouldn't have done it, which is why our graphic designer did it. So our graphic designer made these just for you. I'll be using them all month long. They're all pretty, and they're really easy to use, specifically on Instagram. And so we even have like a way to show you what happens if I can click it. Let's see if I can make it happen. Okay, this is what it looks like. So you're on Instagram, you go and make a reel or a story, excuse me, and then you click on something. This one is nice snowfall. And then if you add to stickers, you'll research, or you'll search for SciStarter specifically, and those ones will come up. There's nothing else that'll come up. Yeah. Yeah. So they look really nice. So you can use them anytime. Before April, if you'd like to test them out, I've been spamming my Instagram story to be like, hey, look at these stickers that my work made. So they're fun. Use them for fun. And then we also have LinkedIn and just a note on who our partners are. So essentially, this is meant to just help you get started and build your own version of social media. So all that is to say, main resources are here, and we'll send these in the chat as well. I didn't mention we do have like stock images per se. They're downloadable images that are usable by anyone. They're on our smug mug, and I think Roland can drop that in the chat for you too. So yeah, all those things, super helpful. And then here's the stickers again, even bigger. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Now for the last fun part. All of this was fun, honestly, but last fun part would be talking about incentives. So if you're an event leader or you're a participant, these are mostly for you. So what this means is at the end of the month, I'm going to be sending out some stuff to people. So if you are a SciStarter account holder, there's a couple things that you get. So a SciStarter account holder and you participate in 1 Million Acts of Science, we actually have a new badge for you all to like certify. You can actually add it to your LinkedIn and connect you on another level, more professional level too, which is very exciting. I mentioned this already. These will be sent digitally to everyone who submits their Acts of Science, and their email is there. And so it doesn't necessarily have to coincide with having an account. So if you don't have an account, this is what you'll get instead, which is also awesome. So no worries. Underneath here is the citizen science field guide. So here's where it gets a little bit more specific. There is a raffle for participation. So if you add your Acts of Science and you also do our survey about how this program went for you, how Citizen Science Month works for you, you are entered into a raffle. So you'll be getting mail from me delivering a book for you, or a tote bag with the SciStarter logo on it. I have one of these. It's my favorite grocery bag. It's great. So if you're interested in either of those, take our survey after you report your acts, and then you will definitely be on the list of recipients. So especially if you come to this. No, I'm not gonna, it's a raffle. I can't do that. I wish I could. This is recorded. I'm not gonna cheat and make sure I know who's on this list. All right. Lastly, if you are a facilitator, this is gonna be exciting for you. So we have a fancy new t-shirt that only the SciStarter like staff and group are all earning, but we decided we'd give a couple away too. So if you're a facilitator and you have your event on SciStarter and it goes awesome, you report your acts online, you do everything that we're essentially asking you to do, you're going to be put in a raffle to get the super secret t-shirt design. And I'm part of the design team, so it'll be cool. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be very cool. It's not like you can't edit to include your event specifically, but it'll include language about all the major events happening throughout the month. So, I mean, Earth Day, for example, or Citizen Science Month as a whole, like those types of things are taken care of. So they'll be included. So that'll be fun. I can't release the graphic design yet, unfortunately, but I'll be wearing it later. All right, so too many words coming from me. I'm gonna stop for a moment and look through the chat in case anything has come up. But I hope I was able to answer some questions. I know there were some left over from earlier, so I'm gonna switch Q&A. So some of you asked about the citizen science kits and how to promote them more. Just from, I don't have any slides particularly prepared for this, but essentially what I recommend to a lot of our friends out in Arizona who I work with who have kits, a lot of their STEM events that already happen, they have their kits on display during those events, or have like specific times in which they display the kits, or just have a section of time where you just go and talk to patrons and say, hey, do you want to do this with me right now, for given whatever project it might be that makes it accurate. So a lot of it is just kind of inserting it into the conversation more often in your other material. So dealing with citizen science kits does not need to become a bigger event unless you want it to be. So you could build events around it. But there are ways in which to kind of lower the lift on your staff at the library, which I know is usually a concern. So keep that in mind. And if you have any other specific questions about that, let me know. And then there was another question about other events. So I'm going to go back to our calendar actually and point out a couple more. Because even though it's not finished, some of this is pretty distinct. So if any of you are in areas that have the City Nature Challenge, that starts on the 26th. That's an iNaturalist BioBlitz. And so it's big deal. It's a 500 plus city thing globally. And it's going to be really fun. Phoenix or SciStarter is working with a couple organizations in Phoenix. So it would be educating children outdoors and at ASU, Arizona State University. And we're developing a big push for City Nature Challenge there because we used to be really great at it, and now we have some slack to pick up. So it's going to be awesome. That'll be the entire weekend, so the 26th through the 29th. And because it's a city nature challenge, the idea is that you're looking at plants and animals that are wild growing in your urban areas. And so this might not be your landscaping, for example. It shouldn't be your landscaping, but the bee that shows up to your landscaped plants, that's a pollinator that just exists in nature, and it was brought there by your plants. So those are all really fun to do as a full group of people, patrons at a library, going as a launch, or doing trainings and bio blitzes near your library location, or just a group of friends. It's just a reason to be outdoors and exploring what actually exists where you are. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I'm going to go ahead and drop in the chat the link to, so it's citynaturechallenege.org, not really challenging, challenge.org. Oh, that didn't help. HTTPS. So if you go to that website, okay, that should work better. If you go to the website, there's an area that says participate, and it gives you the list of cities. So you can see what they're up to, and you can find them on iNaturalist too. If any of you are in the Phoenix area during April, definitely participate so we can win. It is technically a challenge, but I mean, there's so many cities, it's kind of hard to be in the top 10 of 500 plus. We were 54th though, Phoenix was, so I'm excited. Philly is also doing it, which is why the Liberty Bell is there, although it's not in the right spot, apparently. It got messed up. So those as an example, there are a lot of events in here that you can review as like a topic for your event if you're still working on programming. For example, Audubon Day, same day as City Nature Challenge starting. But if you have a birder community, that's why I mentioned it's pretty popular to have a pretty strong birding community. And so if that happens in your area, then that's an easy way to get people involved in like eBird, the app, citizen science app. And there's a bunch of other ones that you can do just from online too. Project Feeder Watch, I believe, is online. And there are a few more. Woodpecker something is one of my favorites. You just watch these videos and then you tag if you see any woodpeckers. Oh, oops. Go back. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of examples. We have spotlight projects that you can be a part of too. Yeah, so Thomas, I would love to give you the link to this. It's going to be on citizensciencemonth.org ASAP. I have a few edits to still make, and there's some things missing from here, so I can't actually send this version to you. I might send a picture of it in my follow-up email tomorrow if it's basically complete. I just don't want to do so. I don't want to give you this one and for things to change because I also have links, and so you can't use the links on here. It has to be a PDF in order to use the links. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Be good to have something on light pollution and loss of starry skies, especially with Starlink coming online. Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of dark sky projects, and not all of them are like specific to nighttime too. So what I mean by that is the link that will be going to that one is scistar.org/dark sky. And our page for this is made with our partners over at, I'm sorry for all the edit buttons. Let me log out. Is made with our partners at the Dark Sky Citizen Science, or the Dark Sky Association, which is now just Dark Sky, International Dark Sky. Our Missouri chapter friend helped us develop this. And there's 3 projects right off the bat that are very much nighttime, measuring light in the night, which is also a citizen science kit. And then astrophotos and astrophotos, lunar photography. So if you're interested in those, definitely look into those. These last 2 definitely take a little bit more time to prepare in advance. So definitely look into those sooner rather than later. Amy, yay, dark sky community. Yes, awesome. I love it. You all have the best environments around you. I live in DC where I never not have light, although it's not too bad. I feel like it could be worse. There's also a lot on here that are more focused on helping measure diversity on Earth because a lot of that is impacted by light pollution too. And so they're trying to do the multi-pronged approach of like, what is the full picture of dark skies? What does it mean, right? So there are quite a few options for that. And amateur astronomers are so much fun. So definitely recommend. For anyone who are educators, I'll go ahead and show you the education page too. I think that would be helpful. And I'll drop this in the chat too. Oh, and I didn't send the other one. Let me write dark sky in there too. Dark sky. So the education page looks like this. It gives you the background on citizen science. This is an easy one to show to kids who are just learning about it. And then it goes all the way from pre-K all the way up to college. Some of these are quite difficult. For example, Fold It is very challenging. And so some of these I would recommend looking at if you're not sure beforehand. So some of these can be like the hardest ones on our website, but that to be said, they're all wonderful still. So I would definitely look into that. Eterna in particular, I'm surprised it's actually, no, we've had high schoolers do that. They have a whole group of high schoolers working on that one. It's RNA molecules getting rearranged. Roland has done it. I have not. I've started it and talked about it, but unfortunately I have failed at completing the tutorial. So until then, I am still not as smart as a 12th grader. Awesome. So we've got a lot on here. And one of our friends online with us right now, Monkey Health Explorer, is right there, and she's in charge of it. Is there a document page where these links? Yeah, I'm going to send a follow-up email, so I'll include all these links in there. That helps. Yeah. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Cool. So you can look through all these and just see what seems of interest. We are sending this link as a part of our environmental education week, but they're not all environmental education. So it's just education related citizen science. And so if you find other things, that's not to say that those are the only options for environmental education week. I can probably think of several more that would matter to that and that you would just find from looking on SciStarter. So there's a lot of options. Which reminds me, if any of you haven't messed around a little bit with the project finder, it is unique to your location if you have your location services on, which is incredibly powerful for projects that matter to very local environments and ecosystems. So last week I talked about invasive species with our last guest. And so for NISA, National Invasive Species Awareness Week. And so if I put, for example, native as the opposite of invasive, right? And hit find projects. And I think I might have my location services turned off, actually. That's not helpful. This is not what showed up last time. Let's see. If I log in, let's see if that changes. It should. I had like 2 come up that were specific. Oh, I might have just turned my location off. Let's do Washington, DC. There we go. Okay, so Virginia Working Landscapes, the Redbud Phenology Project, these are all very unique to where I am in the area I'm in, the region. And so this might be really helpful, especially for any of you just trying to figure out ways to get people in the door to do fun things. If it relates to their lives, it's awesome. That's kind of like a no-brainer, right? So if that's of interest, definitely use that in the meantime. And if any of them have the little, let's see, the top ones, no, the little SciStarter, there's a little logo that shows up. It's right here. This little guy, that means it's an affiliate. And so when people participate in that, it'll automatically log contributions, which is great for the person who's doing it so that they don't have to log it through the reporting form as much. So their reporting form, it'll already be listed as long as they're logged in. And they did it while logged in, right? So all good stuff. There's a lot of options, lots of options. Okay, my voice is a little tired. I might pause here for a moment. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. Were there any questions or commentary about why people here, which interest you? Covered citizen science kits, nature wildlife, eclipse programs. Any problems about eclipse programs or questions about it? Maybe if you went to that previous event too, that one had the most resources that I probably would just point you right back to, honestly. That one was very solid on the resources. Okay, I'm gonna stop here then. We're 5 minutes from the end anyway, so I'm gonna push us out to the end of this. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. If you do the info@scistarter.org, we're happy to answer. I'm both myself and Roland are 2 of the people who receive those emails, so you'll probably hear from us. We have these events every week, pretty much every week, or if we are not here, we point you to a very relevant recording of one from the previous year or previous few months or whatever. Next 3 weeks, we are actually here with you all. So next week, if you're an educator, for example, we're going to be talking to Wild Hope, which is a series of it's a not movie series. Well, it's like a TV series on PBS, and it's international. It's a really big deal, and we love them. And they have educator tools. And so we'll be talking to them next week at 5:30 p.m. ET, which is different from usual. Usually we're at this time at 2 p.m. So if you're interested in that, you can go to our blog and learn more, or you can go straight to https SciStarter.org/go/live. That's the quick link to all of that. And that'll take you straight to the registration page. Additionally, we also have the March 19th, we're celebrating Women's History Month. So happy March, all the ladies and she, hers out there. We'll be talking to the Mariah Mitchell Foundation, which is super fun. Mariah Mitchell was an amateur astronomer and then became the first professor of astronomy at Vassar. So really cool person, discovered a comet early on too, and that's how she got called up to do so much stuff. And you can do that today, by the way. Sungrazer, find a comet, sun-grazing comet. And then if you're interested in more eclipse related information, if you're a participant and you're looking for like a workshop quick, 2 weeks before the eclipse, March 26th, we have a workshop with a bunch of the NASA projects. So we'll have Sun Sketcher with us, Globe Eclipse, and Eclipse Soundscapes to be here to train you on what to do for those projects on the day of. So if you need more information on that, we will have it then. All right. Lastly, just to note, during April will have a bunch of these events too. So just keep an eye on that SciStarter.org/go/live or the blog post. Just keep an eye on it because we have one planned for the City Nature Challenge too. So if that interested you, we will have a training event that's national, hosted by the Phoenix one though. So we're so nice in helping others and challenging us anyway. So we'll have one for there and then a couple more. So we want to make sure those get noted too. All right, we have a million resources that you probably know about. If you don't, here they are. Here's all of them. Again, the email is awesome if you have super specific needs. We do have more than just the one badge for the recipients who participate during SITSI month. We have a foundations training as well as data literacy and other ones. So if you do need more of like an ego confidence boost, whatever it might be, to know citizen science, or you want to help students, for example, learn citizen science, that foundations training is really nice. And it also earns you a badge. So there's more opportunities for that too. All right, cool. And this is my last slide. So if you are willing to share your thoughts on these events, please take our survey, let us know how we're doing, and we will continue on and hopefully adjust it depending on what we hear. If there's anything that needs to be talked about, if you have any ideas, feel free to add them in there too. But thank you all for being here. I appreciate the number of interest, or the commentary in the chat really does help me figure out what type of people we're talking to as well on the daily for this. So I'm excited for you all to be a part of it, and I'm excited to see your names on the participant list and the event list and the project. So thanks so much, everyone.